The other thing that we find in Amos is an oracle against Judah, against the southern kingdom. This is in chapter 2. It's just 2 lines, verses 4 and 5, and it's in chapter 2. And many people identify that as a later addition by an editor. First of all, it's written in very standard sort of Deuteronomistic language. And also, if we leave it out, then we have a nice literary pattern. We have 6 oracles, right, plus 1. We have 6 oracles against foreign nations, and then we have 1 against Israel. And that pattern is a very standard literary pattern, particularly in poetic sections of the Bible, and the prophets are written in an elevated poetic style. We very often have a 6 plus 1 pattern. That's related to another pattern that we also see in Amos, which is the 3 plus 1 pattern. Right, this is just a doubling of it, 6 plus 1. The 3 plus 1 pattern you'll recognize, it's quite explicit at times. Amos will say, "For 3 transgressions of Damascus, for 4 I will not revoke it, the decree of punishment." Right? The similar kind of language is used in verse 6 for Gaza, in verse 9 for Tyre, in verse 11 for Edom, in verse 13 for the Ammonites, and so on. So we often have this pattern. And so the suggestion by scholars is that without that prophecy concerning the fall of Judah, which postdates Amos, you would have a nice complete 6 plus 1 pattern. And this might be the sign of a later editor updating Amos's prophecy so that it would look as though he had in fact prophesied the fall of Judah. You have other sorts of literary patterns and forms used in the prophetic works. Some of the literary forms we see are hymns, we see songs, we see laments, particularly laments or mourning for Israel as if her destruction is already, a fait accompli. You find proverbs. Very often when the prophets cite a proverb, they will turn its accepted meaning on its head. They'll take an old proverb and they'll apply it to some new situation and give it a radically new kind of meaning to sort of shock and surprise their audience. And Amos 3 through 8 contains a lot of proverbs. Another literary form that we'll see, and this is an important one, is a literary form that's called the riv, R-I-V. A riv, which basically means a lawsuit, specifically a covenant lawsuit. Many of the prophetic books feature passages in which God basically brings a lawsuit against the people, charging them with breach of covenant, breach of contract, if you will. And in these passages, you have legal metaphors being used throughout, right? People testifying or witnessing against Israel, can she speak in her defense, and so on. So the riv, or the covenant lawsuit, is a form we'll see here. We'll also see it again when we get to the book of Job. So the prophetic corpus draws on the entire range of literary forms that were available in Israelite tradition, literary tradition, and very often gives them a rich, and that's what gives the books a very rich and varied texture. So Amos is a model for us in terms of its literary features, but it's also a model for us in terms of some of the themes or the content of the book, because Amos will articulate certain themes that we will see resounding throughout the prophetic literature. There will be some variations on these themes, but some standard themes appear here. So we'll review those.